Hi, welcome to Big Sexy Chat. I'm Crystal.
I'm Murph.
And we're just two rad fatties sitting around chewing the fat. Twice a month, we will be chatting all about current events,
hot topics,
sex toys, relationships, fat politics, cannabis, CBD, you name it, we're going to talk about it. We're really excited to have you part of our community. Welcome and enjoy. Hi, welcome to Big Sexy Chat. I'm Crystal.
I'm Murph.
Hi, Murph.
Hi, Crystal.
We're so happy to have you part of our community, all of you.
Excited to have everyone here listening and joining us and talking about all the fat things that are wonderful about life.
Absolutely. Welcome to our community. Our website is BigSexyChat, and we do this podcast about twice a month, and precisely twice a month. We're trying something new. We're going live as well as recording, and we're going to have some fun. And I'm going to try to ignore the notes on the side so I don't have to get distracted by them. We could talk about what we're going to talk about, which of course we're going to always start with current events, right? What's going on in the current events? Don't say the Oscars, please.
No, I don't want to talk about that at all. I think the world has discussed that to, what do they say? Beating a dead horse. Like, it's done. Like,
did you watch SNL last night?
I did not, but I recorded it, so I will.
You should watch it. Yeah, it's the cold opening is really great.
Yeah.
He talks about it without talking about it. It's so good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So what's going on?
So I want to talk about Lizzo. Now, we had discussed last episode about her new show. Watch out for the big girls.
Yes.
Did you see it?
I've watched 3.
You've watched 3. Okay.
I love it. I love it. I love it. What about you? You've watched the whole thing?
I watched the entire thing, and oh my gosh, I laughed. I cried. I loved it. I have been walking around my house twerking and dancing like at random, and I didn't realize how much choreography like I've memorized just from watching it.
And they have that really famous choreographer, right? Tanisha Scott.
Yes.
She works with Lizzo. Wow, that's amazing. If you're a dancer, I think that's a really big deal to put on your resume, you know. Yeah. Well, dancing with Lizzo, pretty big thing too.
Right.
But yeah, it's so beautiful. I see people talking about all over the internet. So amazing. It makes me cry. Big girls can do whatever they want to do. You know, I'm like, yes.
Well, and it's so positive. The reality show dynamic of the drama and the nonsense and just, you know, it's trash TV, but they really worked hard to, even when they were giving feedback, that it be positive and sandwiched in a way that is kind to the individual rather than negative or, you know, like, let's start some crazy BS drama.
Like therapists teach you to do in your relationship. Compliment, talk about the problem, compliment again.
Exactly.
It's very positive. I love that. It's so nice to see. I love lifting other women up and helping other women. And I don't like all that tearing down stuff. I can't stand most reality shows, but this is so different.
So different. Have you ever seen the show Making? It's with Amy Poehler and I always forget his name's Ron Swanson in the show that I watch, Parks and Recreation. I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, it's the only positive show that I've seen because they're crafters. And so they have little crafting challenges. Nice. And so they have to like work with their hands and like make unique crafts. But my other friend was like, well, the British Bake Off show is very similar in that positivity. Yeah. And I haven't seen that. So this is the first like real reality show or competition show that I've seen that's been really positive. And so I just love it. I'm really excited that our community is getting representation and that it's really positive.
It is nice to see fat girl positive representation, and it helps to, you know, demystify and normalize, you know, fat girls, fat people can do a lot of amazing things, like from the air, jump down and do the splits. I'm like, how do I mean, I've seen other dancers do that, but there's girls on this show. Wow. Yeah. Doesn't that hurt? Oh, but I guess you're so warmed up and you're trained to do that. It's amazing. They're athletes. They are. And hey, guess what? You can be fat and an athlete, and you can be fat and healthy.
Right.
And the diet culture tells us you can't be. Right.
Exactly. And so I don't know if you know about this, but Lizzo has dropped announcement that she is providing her own athletic and shapewear.
Yes, I saw that. Beautiful. I watched her IG. She did a live IG Instagram, and it was about an hour long, and she was in this beautiful blue mesh, kind of like half top, half shirt, and it had like a sweetheart bra in it. And then she had some, I think I want to say like longer, maybe like bicycle shorts,
Mm-hmm.
all electric blue, beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that mesh. So I got to see, she showed her closet and showed the line, and it's really beautiful.
It's
But some of it's shapewear, right? Like, so is
yeah.
it going to cinch you in?
I'm not sure if it's going to cinch you in. I think it's more of just like gentle
Smoothing.
control, yeah, and smoothing. The fabric looks like it's very second skin. I think
Mm.
there's a whole section called naked wear, and
Oh,
so it's supposed to be very soft, very close to skin in a variety of nude colors. So that looks really fabulous.
and nude is different for everybody.
Yes.
Like my nude is not the same nude as Lizzo's nude.
And
So
that's the point, is that it's a whole range of nude. Yeah.
thankfully somebody's paying attention. And
Absolutely.
also I heard that it was 6X. Oh, well, and I love that she started 6X through extra small and
Yeah.
she put the bigger sign. Yay. Hey, James. James says, hey, y'all. That's so cool. And the colors are beautiful. And hopefully she'll go beyond a 6X one day. I wonder what
Hmm.
a 6X means,
Right. Well,
I
and I know
wonder.
there's been a lot of controversy in our community about partnering with Fabletics, and that Fabletics is a problematic brand, and that, it's not, 6X doesn't represent everyone. And I
Mm-mm.
understand all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
think if you get caught up in the weeds about that sort of stuff and you don't focus in on the fact that an incredibly talented fat black woman just created a line of clothing for other
Yep.
fat women of all types,
Mm-hmm.
that you're getting lost from the original message.
Yeah, when I had my boutique, I got a lot of criticism that I didn't go beyond 6X. But the thing is, there was nobody that I could buy it from. The only people I could buy lingerie larger than 6X were people that made custom lingerie. You can't sell custom lingerie in a boutique because the markup would be so high, nobody would ever buy it. And if I buy a piece for $100 cost, because it's custom, but it's a 10X, people aren't going to be able to buy that for, $150
Right.
probably. I got a lot of people boycotted my store. I'm like, if it was out there, I'm like a 6X, maybe even larger. Don't you think I would buy it if I could?
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm like, you guys are upset at me, but I'm the first ever lingerie store for fat people. That's not enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally, I do get sick of settling for breadcrumbs, but I have a feeling that Lizzo is she's going to be looking out for all of us. I have this
Absolutely.
feeling.
I completely agree. And I think that you have to start somewhere. And if you
Yep.
constantly beat down where you start, then people are going to say, well, you're ungrateful and it's not worth
Mm-hmm.
putting in the time and energy. So I
Yeah,
get that there are lots of things that could be improved and
sure.
lots of things that could expand upon that, but we got to start somewhere. And if we start somewhere in a positive realm, we're going to be way better off than if we start just negating everything that potentially
Yep.
could be good.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. And it's just, yeah, it's easy to criticize. People criticize me a lot. And I'm like, well, you guys can go ahead and try this. If you want to try opening a store and see how you can do.
Right.
Clearly, I would go to the laundry trade shows, begging everybody. I'm telling you, when those ladies at those trade shows saw me coming, they'd be like, "Oh God, there's that lady again." Because like, please, my clients want it. They want it. They have the money for it. They really want it, and you
Yeah.
know, never happened. I've never seen any of those people make anything beyond a 6X. Now, Mallory from Smart Glamour, she'll make up to 10X, 15X, and then she'll make it custom for you too. So Smart Glamour's got it going on, but she makes it as she gets the order, and she does it one at a time.
And that's how most, when you're not in standard, and I'm using the quotes, right?
Mm-hmm. Air quotes.
Standard sizes, like that's where we've always had to go. And,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's helpful for those designers that are appreciating that everybody has different body types. And,
Mm-hmm.
I have a bigger belly than most people and I need extra
Mm-hmm.
space there, whatever it may be. But the average, buy it off the rack kind of place doesn't do that. And they've never done that and they never will do that. So if you start arguing and complaining about, it's not available in my size, well, you're right. But it's now starting to become a normal thing to have 6X or to have 5X. And so that's a
Mm-hmm.
starting point. That's a place where we
Yeah.
can then jump off and say, okay, now
Yeah.
let's do better.
And FYI to anybody who's out there listening and they make intimate wear, we need a wider crotch in our underwear. We don't need more than 2 inches. I need like 4 inches, please.
Right.
Give me a
Especially
bigger gusset.
gusset. I love that word. And
I
and
think.
honestly, as someone who has, menstruation and trying to deal with pads or anything on a tiny ass little gusset is a nightmare for a big girl.
It
Just,
really is.
it's like slip and slide all over the place. Like, come on.
I know,
This is so unfair.
Yes. Yeah, I see a lot of people complaining about the gusset. Please, just one or two more. Please search a little more fabric, please.
Right.
I think we talked about this in the second episode because it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I need it, and we all need it. And even people that are quote unquote regular size, they need a little more too. Not if I'm wearing a thong, but like if I'm wearing a pair of underwear, I need more.
Yes.
I need more space. I need more earth. I need more something.
I got lips that I don't want them hanging off the sides.
Unless you want your lips hanging off the
Hey,
side.
and that's cool, but usually for my everyday undies, I don't.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. It's funny that people always tell me, that they've heard, curvy girls have bigger vaginas. And I'm like, some women of size, some people of size have a larger labia, but not all fat girls. So, and the only way I know this is because I owned a lingerie store, and I kind of assumed that most of our labias and the mons kind of all were fuller on everybody, but not true. And I've seen them where that's just like some thinner people have, where that's just kind of just like their clitoris and their inner, what do you call it, the labia minora, right there. And I've seen it. I've seen the big ones. I've seen the fuller ones, the fluffy ones, the hanging ones, and the ones on really fat people that have no fluffy lips. So who knew? We're all totally 100%, just like snowflakes. We're all unique.
All unique.
Yes. And that's the beautiful thing.
Exactly.
But that's also why it's hard to make clothes for people of size.
Right.
Because we're so unique.
Right. And we have different distribution of fat
Mm-hmm.
in our bodies.
Yep.
It's going to look different for every single person.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was telling you about the show on Netflix called The Principles of Pleasure. The Principle of Pleasure. Did you get to look at that at all?
I started it, but I haven't been able to finish it. I'm so fascinated and enthralled.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was only 3 episodes, and it's on Netflix.
Yes.
And I noticed that all of the people that were being interviewed, except for one, were women of size. I was like, huh. All of a sudden I was like, hey, I went back. I'm like, only one thin person is like narrating. Well, the narrator her name is Michelle Buteau, Buteau. And then there's, you know who's in it? You probably know Emily Nagoski, the Velvet Vulva lady. And she has that book, Come As You Are.
Yes.
She's great. She writes great books. She's very matter of fact and just very like, these are the words. This is how it's called. This is the vulva. This is the vagina. Don't confuse the two.
Yep.
I mean, hello. You and I know that, but not everybody just refers to everything down there as
right.
the vagina. But the vagina is actually the birth canal.
Right.
That's where your tampons go. That's the vulva is everything else around it for the most part. I wish I had my velvet vulva nearby. That thing is so cool.
I know. I've always wanted to buy one. Every time I see one,
they're so beautiful. They're so pretty. They're made so well. And it's all velvet on the outside.
And I love it when they're like talking and they hold it up and then they're like stroking it as they talk. And and this is the clit and then this is the labia majora. And then, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love that. I want that little hand puppet.
It's so great. And you'd be surprised how many people have no idea what their anatomy is called and which is their clitoris and which is their hood. And I mean, I did for 10 years, all I did was home parties, educating and entertaining people about sex toys and their own genitalia. And when people would get me alone in the bedroom where I would be taking orders, I'm like, do you not have Google? Like, I've been curious about these kinds of things since I was young. So I wanted to know, I wanted to know what everything was called and I wanted to look and check it out.
Right.
I guess some people just don't have any curiosity about their own genitals, but I did from a young age. And I just wanted to know what, we didn't really call it like, I don't know, PP and TT and all that stuff in my house. It was like vulva, vagina, not like those little weird words,
Same here. My mom sat me down and got out a piece of paper and a pen and she was like, okay. And she like drew it, and she's like, and this is the clitoris. And then, and this is how babies are made. And she, walked through the whole discussion. And because I had asked about it, and the people that I went to school with, the little kids that I went to school with were, like, oh, my mom says that you can have babies from kissing or, stuff like that. And she was just like, no, science teacher. So she sat me down and like,
Oh,
this is what
really?
it is. But yeah, I mean, people really, I think that they are curious and they are interested, but I think there's so much shame around like exploring your body and understanding your body that it's just easier for people to, nope, it doesn't exist. I don't know. It's a mystery.
You're exactly right. It is the shame, and I don't feel any shame. So I feel like unbothered by it. It's like, it is what it is. Hey, we all got here the exact same way from a vagina, and our parents had sex. Everybody has to have sex to have a baby. And unless you're a test tube baby or you're doing, maybe you have to do IVF or one of those things. I know something has to get involved sometimes, unfortunately for some people, but pretty much we all are going to be coming from a vagina, and that's the actual hole. That's where the penis goes in. If you have sex with penises, that's where the sex toy goes in. That's the vagina itself. The rest of it's not the vagina.
Right.
Just not. Stop calling it that.
Well,
But
and we wonder why so many men struggle with finding the clit or finding, because it's not something that's discussed. Talking about the body like that is what, in 6th grade they talk about that? And they keep the boys and the girls separate. So unless you have a parent that is sitting you down and having that discussion, or you're going and finding it on Google, you shouldn't be doing that in 6th grade, by the way. Then you don't know, and so you fill in the blanks with whatever information the people around you have.
So true, so true. I used to tell my niece and nephew quite a bit of stuff, and I tell them, look, don't go educating your whole 6th grade class, because not everybody's comfortable with this level of information, and don't you be the one that's out there educating them all. Okay, so I just want you to know, because I don't want you to accidentally have an accident. I want you to know about pleasure, consent. They're not going to teach you those things at school, but don't educate the whole block, because they might get mad at your parents or me, because there's a lot of information. But, now I would tell them, about safe sex too. And like, rolling their eyes. I know, because I would, as soon as they're in my car, I'm like, okay, let's talk about sex, because, if you have a baby that you don't mean to, not only do you have a baby the rest of your life, but you also have to co-parent. Sometimes you have to co-parent with someone you don't really even like that much. So you decide.
Right.
And yeah, we've all seen those situations that are just not good at all. But this show also talked about pleasure and how to receive pleasure and how to give yourself pleasure. And it talked a lot about how the penis and the clitoris are very similar, right? The clitoris is just like a little baby penis. It's just that urethral sponge that has lots of nerves and it gives you pleasure just like the penis. But the clitoris can be anywhere from, the size of a pea to the size of my thumb. Penises can be the size of my thumb to, eggplant size.
Right.
It's done so well. And I bet you probably know some of these. If you saw them, like Erica Hart, Gina Nicole Brown, Michelle Buteau is the narrator, Supriya Ganar. I'm like, these people look familiar to me. So I must have seen them maybe at sex toy trade shows, or something like that, or on blogs. But it was done really well. So good. Honestly, schools should show this. It's not erotic. And I guess people have been complaining that it's not erotic enough. Like, it's not supposed to be erotic. It's not supposed to turn you on. It's supposed to educate you.
Right.
Sheesh. People, I swear, people get mad at everything nowadays, but it's so good. And I wish every high school kid could see all 3 episodes. There's nothing that's not okay for somebody 12 and up to see. I think it's perfect. It's done. They even talked about the clitoral legs, and how the clitoris is, in that spot between your labia, but then underneath, inside of your body, there's all those legs and stuff. I love clitoral legs.
Yeah. Well, and it's so important for people to understand the anatomy of pleasure, and all the pieces that create that. And so it's a lot about what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I know. We are going to talk about. We got some interesting questions and stuff, right?
We do. We have listener mail, and
yay!
I want to do listener mail early this time.
Sure.
So normally we're doing hot topics, but the hot topic is correlated to the mail. It worked out perfectly.
Cool.
So I figured we'd talk about the question and then jump into the hot topic and keep it going. So the
Awesome.
question that we got was, it's an interesting question. We got to break it down, I think, in a couple of different ways. Here it is. My boyfriend's version of foreplay is rubbing against me and half-heartedly fingering me. Any tips for someone who is, quote, bad at foreplay?
You have any tips?
Well, here's my first thing. If you're already saying that somebody's bad at foreplay, we got a problem, right?
Yeah.
So we go back to our communication is lubrication.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to start having a discussion. It's really important to be able to talk to your partner about what turns you on, what turns you off. Now,
Mm-hmm.
to me, rubbing up against me for foreplay, I'm a huge dry humping fan.
Me too. I miss dry humping.
Seriously, there's not enough dry humping happening in the world, at least
Yeah.
for our age range.
No.
Maybe for teenagers.
Yeah, probably.
But I get it. So she's saying, he's rubbing up against me. It's really not doing anything for me. My guess is probably he's like rubbing his penis on her thigh or something like that. And then half-heartedly fingering me. So my guess is probably we're talking DJ diddles over here, just like, chicka, 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 scratching a record or something. So I get it that she's saying, it's bad at foreplay. But I'd say that mindset right there is probably already working against you.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about foreplay, it's a mind game.
It is, yes.
It's really about, how you feel about your partner, how you feel in the moment, all the sexy things that have happened to get you into that mindset. And if that's not happening, that's the first problem.
So true. One thing that, especially since we were just talking about the clitoris and clitoral legs, one thing I think that could be helpful is maybe having a discussion together. Like, oh, I was listening to this crazy podcast and these ladies were saying these clitoris has legs and I can have an orgasm from my G-spot and this and that. And so did you know the clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings? Did you know the vaginal entrance has like 6,000? Did you know the anus has 8,000? Everybody gets 8,000 nerve endings there. It's the equal opportunity hole. Everybody gets 8,000 nerve endings around the butthole. I like to call it the culo. Maybe, maybe they have a discussion about those kinds of things so that they both know. And usually, you have to ask for what you want. They can't read your mind.
And I think a big part of that too is not only if you feel uncomfortable asking, maybe you're not at that place where it feels like you could freely say that. I hope that you get there because you should be able to freely say that. You're allowing this person to touch your
Genitals.
vulva and all those types of things. But that being said, I think it's really important that you share what you like. And if you're not liking it, say, hey babe, why don't you decrease the speed or maybe vibrate or tap your finger instead of moving your finger left and right. Or, and walking them through that process to find out what works. Another great thing is to come at it as whenever I tell my therapy clients, you're going to try something. I always say, you're going to get to be the scientist. You're going to put on the lab coat and just try it out because there's no wrong thing to try, right? You're just going to see what happens. So if you're doing that when it comes to foreplay and you start talking about, well, I don't know what I like. Maybe I haven't really had somebody do something that I really enjoy. And saying to your partner, I want to try X, Y, and Z, One of the things I remember a long time ago, I had somebody ask me like, well, I don't know, I want to try something different. And I said, well, what about like those edible body paints? And they were like, oh, wait, yeah, no, okay, yeah. I think I could ask about that because it's so different, right? You start out with something that's really different and then try to get back to what you really want to try or enjoy.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think things seem like such common sense, but then I realize that because I was so curious from such a young age, I guess I have a lot more ideas in my head about things that other people don't. Maybe I read anything and everything that has to do with sex toys, sex technology, sex products, things that taste good, things that are safe for the vagina. Like I just want to read it all. And maybe not everybody has that knowledge. So, yeah, I get some body paints. Like that's some 101 stuff right there. You can buy it at Spencer's at the mall,
Right.
You could even use things from your kitchen cabinet. Just no sugar near the vagina. Those two are big time enemies. Don't do them. Don't ever get sugar near your vagina. You'll be so sorry. But yeah, maybe people just don't, I don't know. They don't do the research. Another thing that occurred to me too is maybe she could explain to him how she masturbates.
Yeah.
Does she circle her clitoris? Does she vibrate with a bullet? How does she do that? And then share that with him. And my boyfriend told me this a long time ago. If you're intimate enough to mash your genitals together, that should be that you could talk about anything with that person, because it's pretty intimate to put one person's genitals into another person's genitals. If you're to that point in your relationship, you should be able to talk about anything and everything. And he's right.
Absolutely, he's right.
But
And
not everybody thinks that way.
not everybody thinks that. Sadly, not everybody thinks that way.
I
And
know,
so,
I know.
if we're talking slowly easing into it, then having that conversation, marking on your body with some body paints of, try here, or yeah, big arrow down south. But, just having that discussion in a very clear way. I really
Mm-hmm.
like it when what really turns me on is,
Mm-hmm.
those are great positive ways to start a conversation. Now, don't start out saying, why do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
defensive, right? Defensive question. Don't ask why. Just say, I really like when.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not judgmental. That's just
Nope.
stating something that you enjoy.
Yeah, take the judgment out. It also, I know we've discussed this before, but sometimes those happen better outside of the bedroom, because sometimes inside the bedroom people feel judged. If you have a discussion over dinner or lunch or breakfast, whatever, chit-chatting on the couch, that makes things a little less, they don't feel just like they're being put upon,
Right.
It could be her or him. Maybe he has things he wants her to try.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and maybe she's not moving around or making noise or
Mm-hmm.
giving him
Mm-hmm.
any indication of what something is that she does like or doesn't like.
Right.
And
Guide
so,
his hands.
yeah, it may be, hey, he's got sandpaper hands and it doesn't feel comfortable, or he needs to trim
Right.
his nails, or whatever it may
Yes.
be. But having
Yeah.
that discussion of just, I really like it when we're making out and I can sit on top of you and rub against you, not when your leg is touching or your penis is touching my thigh. I
Right.
get more out of it if I get to straddle you and make out with you. Or I,
Mm-hmm.
if you turn it into I statements and you start having those discussions, it's way better. But part of that too is, what are you doing outside of the bedroom? What are the things
Mm-hmm.
that you're doing that are kind gestures that you're doing for your partner that indicate, I really care about you and I can't wait until we have time to get into the bedroom later?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always call it surprise and delight. I love to surprise and delight my partner, and he loves to surprise and delight me. And then, that keeps us going, because, when you have sex with the same person for a long time, you got to find some ways to keep it interesting. And so we try to keep it outside of the bedroom. We try to keep a little repartee going back and forth, and we do nice things for each other so that we both can feel loved and cared for. And like, his pleasure means a lot to me. I want to make sure that he's really enjoying it, and my pleasure means a lot to him. That's the best, right? But it takes a lot of talking. I swear. Good sex takes so much talking. Sometimes it's exhausting, but it's so worth it in the end.
Absolutely. Well, and good sex takes a lot of practicing and trying stuff. I mean, if you don't know, if you haven't played with body paints, if you haven't had
Mm-hmm.
a fun lube, if you haven't done, those are things that you need to try and find out if you like it
Yeah,
or not.
absolutely. And I found too, like, from when you go from one partner to another partner, I would say like 80% of the things that worked with the first partner will work with new partner, but like 20% is going to be unique to each person. Some people like teeth, some people don't. Some people like, the death grip, some people don't. So, you have to find out the other 20%. What is their 20%? What do they
Exactly.
like? Do they like nipple play or not? I mean, everybody's different, even though there's some things that is going to work. Like, I really never met a penis I couldn't figure out, but clitorises and vaginas and vulvas, those are tricky. Those are really tricky, because we're also in our head a lot, right?
Mhm.
Those of us were born with that kind of brain, and we have to learn how to compartmentalize things sometimes, right? We're not always that great at that right away. It just took me a while to be able to go. I love the waffle brain. Like, I just want to have like 9 little poop and only put those 9 things in there, and that's it. And now it's sex time, so that comes out of the compartment and it's on. But
Right.
it doesn't. I'm more like a spaghetti bowl brain.
Exactly. Well, and
Mm-hmm.
that's one of those things where it's like, okay, if your partner's doing something special for you outside of that, you're starting to think about it. You're starting
Mm-hmm.
to get into that mindset and compartmentalizing a little bit more of like, okay, this can be over here and it's sexy time in my brain now and I can focus on that. And, it makes a big difference. My husband, will sometimes come along and just like do something random around the house that's like my chore, And then it's like when I don't have to do that and it's one less thing I have to think about or stress about, then I'm already like, oh, I feel so much better. It's just like this quick, easy little thing. And then I'm starting to think like, I should repay him some way.
Put your penis in my mouth now.
Right. I'm not going to lie.
I already know. Like,
right.
you detailed my car and you cleaned it out and put gas in it. Hello.
Hello.
That's so hot.
Right? It just like, oh my goodness. I'll see those TikTok videos of the guys like, instead of getting shirtless or whatever, they're like washing a dish and then putting it in the dishwasher.
Holding the baby and vacuuming.
Right. And it sounds silly, but it's true. It's one less thing that is going to take away from you getting to focus in on being intimate with your partner. And, and you can take those things off your plate. Then yeah, you're much more apt to be able to jump their bones when you get that light
switch to flip.
Exactly. Starts turning on.
It's so easy. Sometimes I think some couples make it so much more difficult than it needs to be. It's like, I wish they could figure out how easy it can be. And it really is just doing things and treating the other person with the most respect and just surprising them and delighting them. It could be the smallest thing, but it feels so good. And it makes you just want to, flip that switch and get it on.
Right. Well, it's a turn on. It's like, wow, my partner was thinking about me outside of whatever, and the fact that they did that means that, they knew that would take off, the stress or the worry that I had, and they're paying attention to me and anticipating my needs. For women especially, that's a huge aspect of it. And when you can take all that off the table and really zero in, then you're able to have those really intimate sexual moments without a care in the world.
The anticipating my needs, that blows my mind. Like, wow, how did you know? It's like so hot. And it's so easy, and he just does it. And like, oh, thank you. Like, I want to thank you a million times, And it's easier for me to shut off all the other stuff, the dry cleaning, to pick this up, drop that off, pay this bill. I'm just like, oh, now I want to focus on him because he's trying so hard to anticipate what might help me. I cleaned out your car because I thought it'd make you have a better week and feel more organized. I'm like, oh, you have no idea. I'm like, thank you. That's amazing. And now I'm turned on, so get naked.
Right? Exactly. It's like, oh, yes. I don't have something I have to worry about? Cool. Let's get naked.
I mean, right? It's crazy. It's just not that difficult, but people it seems like some people make it really difficult. And, it's your partner's personality too can make things difficult, and I'm high energy. So I'm extra. He's very low energy but he's extra in his own way. Gotcha. And we're just like, but yeah, it's working for us. Yeah.
Well, and it goes back to the fact that you have the ability to talk to each other about any and everything. And
we were just talking about that over dinner last night. He's like, I so appreciate you. He's like, because I would rather know the answers to stuff. I don't want to wait and just walk on eggshells. Oh, he might be mad or this or that. I'd rather just know.
Yep.
Hey, this happened. He's like, I appreciate that about you so much. I go, I appreciate that about you. I'd rather just talk about it now. I don't want anything festering. Festering's not sexy.
No.
Never.
And it really creates the conflict that's not necessary because like we talked about earlier, people fill in the gaps, right? If you're not having the conversation, then he's mad at me. Oh, he's upset that I did something or another. Oh, maybe if I had only done this or that. You're filling in the gaps.
The fear starts filling in the gaps, right? That's why we'll find out now. I want to know, are you into me or not? Like people put that off for so long and I'm like, oh my God, I can't go on that many dates. I just want to know, are you into me?
Yeah.
No, let's kill this right now,
Right.
And people just say, oh, I just want to wait and find out. I'm like, no, not me. I want the answer now.
Exactly. Why wait?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, and I think part of this too, when we're talking about the mail that we got, I think part of that is really experimenting with your own self and having, what it is that you like down to a T, so that you
Right.
can say to your partner, this is what I like you mentioned with, just masturbating and being able to figure out this is what I like, and tell them. I have a feeling that if you're not having this conversation with your partner, you probably aren't even having this conversation with yourself.
Yep.
And so having those discussions with yourself of, what do I like? Have I tried
Mm-hmm.
these different things? And expecting your partner to be a mind reader in that is not going to get you anywhere. You really have to have that conversation. But if you don't feel comfortable saying that to yourself, there's no way you're going to feel comfortable saying it to another person.
I know sometimes people think I'm being arrogant when I say I don't have bad sex. I don't. I'm 54. I'm not putting up with bad sex, but mainly because I know what I want and I'm not afraid to ask for it. I need more of this. I need more of that. Less of this, less of that. That's not good. I need something different. And I just make sure I always get off because I know what I want and need. And I can either do it for myself or my partner can help me, but I'm not afraid to ask for what I want. And that's how I never have bad sex anymore.
And it
When I
takes
was
a
young.
while to get there, right?
Yeah. When I was in my teens or whatever,
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
But if you're having those conversations with yourself and with your partner, yeah,
Yeah,
good sex is
totally.
on the way.
Absolutely.
Another
And
thing,
yeah, don't settle.
don't settle. No, and another thing you can do too is, if you don't feel comfortable saying this is what I like, or, this is what pleases me, then you can ask your partner, what pleases you? What do you like? And maybe they'll reciprocate that question.
Yeah.
So if you're asking and seem interested, then they may potentially say to you, okay, I told you mine. So what do you like?
Right.
And that can start the conversation.
Absolutely.
But I think after reading that email, it really is a lot of talking that's going to have to take
Yes.
place. A lot of
Before the
experimenting.
sexing, talking before sexing.
Yeah. And experimenting, because your partner may not have a lot of experience and maybe you do. And so, you can either utilize that and be a teacher, or you can ask and say, what do you like? This is what I like, and fix it that way.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah.
Is that it for the questions? Do you want to tell everybody how to send us in their questions?
Yes, you can send us your questions at sexy@bigsexychat.com. And we are taking any and all questions. We potentially will read them on the air and answer them. We're also taking sexy stories.
Yeah.
If you have a sexy story that you would like to share and have us critique or discuss it, we have one from a person that I think we can talk about on one of our future episodes about having some sex out in public.
Ooh. did that once at Lake Tahoe.
Ooh.
I was really young, but yeah, we had sex on a granite rock right next to the lake, and then one of those little airplanes flew over, and they're like waving, and I'm laying on my back, and I'm like, hey. But I was like 20. I was a lot braver back then.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it.
And also, if people, when they do send in their emails or their questions, they can let us know whether we can use their name or not. Then if they don't want us to use their name, then we won't. But if they don't mind, we would love to just say your first name or whatever, or where you're from.
Yeah. Just something
Very
a little
cool.
more personal. If you feel like it, please.
Yeah.
Please include
Totally.
it.
And then also, I should say too, people can go to BigSexyChat and they can sign up for a newsletter. I've only sent one so far, but just to let people know when our last show dropped. So, I probably send like one a month, maybe two a month. But if you go to BigSexyChat, there's a place where you can add your email.
Yeah. You can also like, subscribe, and share. I'm just going to throw
Please.
that in there early, even though you're going to hear it at the end.
Right.
But review us. We're having so many people starting to review us, and it's so exciting. I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom with your partner, partners, or yourself? After all, every body wants better sex. BlissConnection.com is your one-stop shop to check out amazing products. You'll find sex toys, body and wellness products, candles, CBD products, books, kink supplies, and so much more. BlissConnection.com is the best place for all you sexy people to find sexy toys. Check it out after this Big Sexy Chat and use code BSC20 to score a 20% discount so you can take some off before you get off.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the vibe of the week. We're talking about lube.
Yes. Oh, lube.
Lube. Since this is the Foreplay edition of the Big Sexy Chat, we need to talk about lube. Crystal, what's your
Lube is,
favorite lube?
I love silicone lube. I love the brand PJUR, Pure. It's made in Germany. I always say it's like the Rolls Royce of lubricants. It's expensive, but it's worth every penny. I'm 54. I do not mind paying a little bit more for my lubricant because I want the good stuff. I don't want anything to make me itchy. There's no preservatives, no fragrance, no flavor, just lube. And it just keeps going and going and going. And you can even have sex underwater so you don't get that feeling. It keeps everything lubricated even underwater. If your hairs fly away, you can put a little pure lubricant in your hair. It kind of like BioSilk, it gets rid of the frizzies. It's the best. I love it. I love it. I love it. I can't say enough about it. It's expensive, but you can use it for massage. You can do like the Nuru slip and slide kind of thing. If you both have it on you, it's really great for like chub rub and, putting it on your genitals to keep things from rubbing and getting monkey butt if go hiking or whatever. I love it. And there's no scent, no fragrance, no flavor, just works like $1 million. Can you tell I love it?
Pure,
it's
if you'd
expensive,
like
though.
to sponsor us.
I know. Pure, we need you. And sports sheets too. Yeah, it's the best. I've probably sold millions of bottles for them. I sell it on my website, and I like if you see this black bottle, it's PJUR, made in Germany. They make great cars, fast lubes. They make some stuff really beautifully, and lubricant is one of the things the Germans have figured out. And they're the first company ever to say, hey, why doesn't anybody regulate lubricants that come into America? And so they kind of helped the government create the standards for testing lubricants to make sure their body's safe, because obviously the vagina and the mouth are mucous membranes, and we want to make sure that everything we put in there is not going to cause any kind of cancer or yeast infections or UTIs or anything else. So they helped to create the standards. So now, thankfully, all lubricants have to go through this process. But before Pure did this, in Europe, of course, the EU has all kinds of things set up. But here, there was nothing. So like cosmetics, right? It was like they had it under the cosmetic label. And so it just got imported and people just sold it. And no idea what it did for your vagina. Nobody knows. But Pure always so good, the best.
I've learned so much new stuff in that statement right there.
Really?
That's just so great. I didn't
Yeah.
realize any of that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. They're the neatest people too, and they were almost always at the sex toy trade shows, and they're just super generous. And they have so many different lubes now. I use their Body Glide, but they have one made for women. But I just use the black bottle. It's called Body Glide. The 100 milliliter bottle is usually right around $25 to $30. Some places charge a lot more. This is one of those cases too where I wouldn't buy my lubricant on Amazon, for example, unless like Pure has their own store on Amazon. But there's so many knockoffs out there, and you don't want to buy knockoffs on lubricants or sex toys because you're going to put it in places. You want it to be real and good and medically okay, like the medical grade silicone or the hospital grade silicone. You don't want to use that rubbery crap anymore. Just not worth it. We don't know. Nobody knows. Petroleum products, we don't know what's going to happen. Are people going to get a bunch of cervical cancer? They don't know. But now somebody's watching. So, yay. What about you?
Okay, so I broke mine down into categories. So I do love Pure Lube. I've used their water-based previously and enjoyed it. It's, for me, like, I like water-based for sex. Like, I prefer that. I prefer silicone for hand stimulation just because how slick it is, how it doesn't get sticky, it doesn't have any of those things. So I prefer a silicone-based lube.
For HJs.
Yes, for HJs, for sure.
This looks penis-like.
It does. So I use ID Millennium Lube. Really pleased with them. It's always consistent. I haven't had any problems in terms of like skin reactions or anything like that with them. And I just love how shiny and how slick it is.
I do. I like the shiny.
Best. For sex, I like water-based lube, like I mentioned, and my brand is Swiss Navy.
Oh, they make great lube, yeah.
Yes. Very sex toy friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm using a fleshlight with my partner, I'm using the Swiss Navy. If I'm doing anything where there's going to be insertion to me and I want to use lube, it's going to be Swiss Navy. Like
Okay.
I've really been happy with their
You
brand.
know it goes well with your body.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of weird allergies, so I have to always like test it out on the inside of my elbow, before
Smart,
I do anything. And then for oral sex, not for females. Not for females.
Right,
We already had the discussion about sugar is no bueno for oral sex or any kind of anything. So we're talking oral sex with a male or
penis haver.
Someone, a penis haver, yes. My favorite, and I used to hate flavored lubes, but I have found this brand, Wicked Sensual Care. Wicked like the porn empire. Salted caramel flavor. Delicious. I mean,
I have tried that one. It is good.
Yeah. And I've really been pleased with a lot of the flavors that they have through the Wicked brand. But I literally bought I think every flavor that they have. And Jessica Drake is the sponsor for that. And she's like, okay, so if you take a little bit of the peach one and you add a little bit of the blueberry, and mix them up. So I've done that
cocktail.
I've done that with a couple of them, and it actually is
cocktail.
Cocktail.
I said cock.
You did.
I crack myself up sometimes.
And I usually would start giggling at that. I totally missed it.
I missed it at first too.
But yeah, it makes quite a nice little cocktail.
Were you with us the night we had dinner with Jessica Drake?
Yeah.
She was in town. Yeah, that was fun.
We've had a couple interactions with her, Jane.
Nice lady.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very sweet.
Beautiful.
Yeah, a very kind person. She puts a lot of time into donating her money and her energy and stuff to really great, world relief kind of efforts. So she's great. But yeah, she's an ambassador for that brand. And she really turned me on to it because I initially was like, no, I'm done with flavored lubes forever. I did that shit when I was in my teen, 18, 20, and it was awful.
Spencer's Gifts.
Ugh. With that
hate it.
metallic-y, gross flavor. Yeah. And so I was
nothing works for very long. It's just so sticky and tacky and I would go to other pleasure parties and they'd say, oh, just spit on it or add some more water. I'm like, why can't I just have a lubricant that I don't have to spit on or add water to? I'm like doing all this, I'm like, no, just make a lube work. And then I realized it was when they put it's a sugar derivative that they put in them a lot.
Yep.
And it's terrible, but yeah, I have tried that and I love anything salted caramel anyway. It's a lot better. It's gotten so much better than it used to be. And I probably should be less picky, but I have a hard time with the flavored ones. Yeah. But it's fun, if the balls taste like salted caramel or blueberry, that's kind of fun.
Right. I'll spend a little bit of extra time.
I forgot to say about the pure or any kind of silicone lubricant, not that anybody has anal sex. I know nobody has it, but silicone lubricant is really great for anal sex because it will never get dry or sticky or tacky. And if you're having anal sex, you want the best. And no matter how much lube you think you need, double it. You can't have too much. And we should talk about this sometime because I have the 9 tips for pain-free anal sex. But one of them is use really good silicone lubricant because it won't burn the culo because there's going to be little micro tears when you have anal sex or anal penetration. And it won't dry up and get sticky. So good stuff for that too. I meant to mention that. Sorry about that.
No, absolutely. And another thing is you don't want to use silicone lube with silicone toys.
Mostly that's true.
Yes.
But if you have medical grade silicone, like from Tantus, and your lubricant is medical grade, they can work together.
Yes.
But most people don't have any idea. So I would say when you do mix them together, you know what happens, Murph, right? Everything molds into one melty, weird blob of sex toys, and it's over.
So gross.
So don't do it unless you know for sure 100%.
Yeah, if you're not feeling like you're an expert on it, don't do it.
Because you're going to ruin your sex toys, and they get all gooey and goopy and smelly, and it sucks.
Use a good water-based lube, not a silicone lube.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately there's a lot of sex toy companies that are not very ethical, and they'll say silicone, but what they mean is a little bit of silicone and a lot of petroleum. Exactly. So when you see medical grade silicone, that means that company went to the trouble and the time and the money to find medical grade silicone and make their toys with medical grade silicone, which means they're going to cost more. They're not going to be, $10. They're going to be more like $100, but you'll have them forever.
Right.
So
Right.
I think it's a great investment personally, but I've been selling sex toys since 2003, so I'm prejudiced.
And
I like the good stuff.
I was gonna say, and I appreciate that about you.
I mean, I'm like I keep saying, I'm 54. I don't want to F around with that crap anymore.
Yeah.
Keep it away from me. I want the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not interested at all in anything that you're buying at Spencer's Gifts.
Nope.
In the sex toy realm.
No, thank you. Right. There's some fun stuff at Spencer's, but not the sex toys.
Right. I'll go through and look at it and I'll laugh, but I'm not buying any of it.
No.
Maybe
Once
something
you get past
funny.
a certain age, you're like, no.
Yeah, maybe something funny for like a bachelorette party or something like that. But
yeah, like a turd, like
Yeah.
the poo they have, or a cool T-shirt. But no, their sex toys.
No.
Not the best. No.
Yeah, no. Go check out the Bliss Connection site and see what you can actually get that's worthy of you and worth getting.
Yeah, invest in you and invest in a good toy. Like I said earlier, anything from sports sheets, anything from Swiss Navy, anything from Liberator, Pure, although they don't make toys. But if you're confused about the good brands, feel free to email me or private message me in BigSexyChat on Facebook or on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll point you to some good stuff. But if you're buying some bachelorette gifts, maybe you just want to spend $10, that's fine. But when you're investing for yourself, get the good stuff. Save a little more money and buy something really good.
Yes. You're worth it.
Yeah.
You're so deserving of it and you don't even realize it. And you will notice the difference if you've never purchased a very expensive vibrator and you've always purchased those little crappy cheap plastic ones. Do yourself a favor, save up the money, get yourself a nice vibrator, and enjoy.
And back to the foreplay thing, sex toys are fantastic for foreplay.
Yes.
And fantastic for oral, and you can have a vibrator on your clitoris while he's inside of you, or she's inside of you with a strap on, or whomever.
Exactly.
He, she, they, everybody, all of them at the same time. I don't judge anybody. Do whatever makes you feel good as long as everybody's consenting. There's no animals involved, no family involved.
Everyone's
get down with your bad self.
Yes, get down with your bad self.
And but it's great for foreplay. You can do all kinds of things. It's great for giving a penis haver oral. You can put the vibration on the testicles or the shaft. There's so many things you can do with the foreplay part. Wear a bullet in your undies and walk around all day long.
Right.
Give your partner the remote control. That's all foreplay.
Absolutely. Well, and just going to the store and looking at the stuff.
It's so fun.
It's foreplay. Yeah. Or
especially when you're in different cities.
Yeah.
Oh, you travel.
Yeah, or just get on a website and look it up together. And, you can do more extensive research than when you're just in the store, when you actually can okay, I want to look up Pure Lube and see all the different types and order the kind that sounds good to me. You can do that with your partner as a foreplay event.
I used to tell people when I would do my home parties, they would be, have we been married 20 years? We haven't had sex in 10 years. I'm like, okay, let's figure this out. And I would tell them, why don't you open my website, get in bed, get your laptop. You both sit there and look at it and say, babe, you buy one toy, I'll buy one toy. Let's get this going again. And that's just a great place to start. It's a great place to start with your foreplay. Just looking at sex toys might be enough to just get everybody turned on and ready to rock and roll. But if you're married, you don't want to have a sexless marriage, I don't think.
No.
I think it's, one of my best blogs ever, resentment never leads to hot sex. There's a lot of resentment built up, and as a therapist, resentment. Yeah. It's a love killer. It's a sex killer.
Absolutely. Well, and it's the communication ender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Resentment. Ugh.
Bad. And
really bad.
And I think that a lot of people don't realize that they're heading in that direction. It's
a terrible direction to go in.
There's people that use sex as a weapon. People that use, it's the relationship as a weapon. It can get really bad. So the more secure you are in yourself and recognizing those red flags, the better off you are.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we
Yep.
did a great job talking about foreplay today. Now I'm all
You know, I
kind
could
of
talk
like,
about it forever.
I know. I was getting like, oh man, it's gonna get kind of late, and now I'm like, ooh, hey, it's getting kind of late.
Watch out, James.
She's coming for you.
Awesome. This was fun. Thanks, Murph. This is awesome.
Yeah, it was fun doing a live stream too.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you later, alligator.
After a while, crocodile.
So where do you find your favorite fatties? Well, check out BigSexyChat.com. You can find our podcast on any major streaming service. Just remember to like, subscribe, and review. You can find us at BigSexyChat on Facebook and Insta, and at BigSexyChatPod on Twitter. You can find me, Murph, at Murphy Girl Review on Twitter and at Murphy Girl Adventures on Instagram. Crystal, tell them where they can find you.
Sure, they can find me on Twitter at Bliss Connection, and they can find me on Facebook as Curvy Girl Inc.
Download us every other Sunday and listen whenever you want.